It's a great pleasure for me to be revisiting this past. It was like 16 years ago, 17 years ago when I shot those images. That's me, Jean-Jacques Hano. It's written on the screen. And in a way, we're going to see very soon on screen this what we built. We definitely built the same as there is on that model that we made with Dante Ferretti. We managed to make an Italian, German, French co-production, and we decided that we were going to shoot a lot of it in Italy. And I had to find a place to put that set. And I remember one day walking in the near Rome, in the countryside. It was a cold November morning, and I saw a hill, and that hill was so perfect for what I wanted, but I had no idea if I could get permission. But somewhere in my mind I said to myself, if I'm getting permission, this is going to change the whole area. And as a matter of fact, we got permission to build this huge set. So that is a reproduction of the real cliff. And it was like 10 kilometers out of Rome. The whole crew was living in Rome. And here, this is precisely what I was describing. This is Moissac, this is the portal, this is the original that inspired Umberto Eco. And here on this page, we see a lot of details of architecture and sculptures that we've been using later on in the movie, especially in the scene where one of the characters sees the portal and all the moving statues, all the demons, you know, in the Middle Ages. This is probably why I was so fascinated when I was a kid. There was those weird animals sculptured on the rock, all that bestiary that was coming from Asia and was quite mysterious and impressive for a young man. It's still impressive. I still adore it. And here there are other examples of locations where, in my view, fit to build a set. And a lot of it is inspired from German romantic painters. They carried the sort of Gothic spirit, the danger, the weirdness of the Alps in winter and going through the snow towards an unknown monastery. So this is why I gathered those images. Now, this is one of the pictures I took when I was scouting in the catacombs, because I have a scene where Sean Connery and Christian Slater go through the underground tunnels where the monks used to keep the bones of dead monks. And now, I first visited the, should I say, official catacombs of Rome, but they belong to the Vatican. And they refused to see me shooting in any of their properties. Therefore, I didn't shoot in the official catacombs. Very fortunately, we used to have lunch in a small restaurant which had its private catacomb. Because, you know, in Italy, in Rome especially, there are so many remains of the past that catacombs are not that rare. Therefore, we shot, and we're very happy, in those beautiful catacombs just below an excellent restaurant where there was a lovely little wine for the crew. And now here we have one of the few scenes that I shot in a real monastery. That part has been shot in a very, very beautiful, authentic 11th century monastery called Eberbach near the Rhine Valley. Now, the most interesting in this were the books themselves. Each book took specialists, which are still monks doing that, between 6 months and a year to do a few pages of those books. Now, the manuscripts of the period are made on parchment with paint, which is made of stones that they crush, or gold. The people who know how to do this today are monks in an abbey called Pralia, near Venice. Those documents, they were so beautiful that, of course, most of them were stolen. During the night, we had police in this monastery, and you know, German police with dogs is something quite impressive, yet one morning, I show up. I had left the close-up of the main manuscript for the next morning. I show up with Sean Connery. The page is gone. It was the most beautiful page, all made, handmade with gold leaves and all this. And I just could not believe that it had been stolen. We had to wait almost a year to have this page redone, and I remember shooting it like 2 weeks before the movie was released. Anyway, so that was Eberbach, and so you see Sean Connery here and young Christian Slater. Christian was just turning 16 on my set, I remember, and it was his debut. He was starstruck with Sean. When he said it to me the first day, he said, I'm afraid, I'm so panicked because I didn't tell you before, but Sean Connery is my hero. In the film, Sean is the master, and Christian is the pupil. And they did the same on the set. Sean was teaching him how to be an actor. Couldn't be a better training, and Christian was a very gifted pupil. Here Sean is in his robe that we had woven in Morocco, because I wanted a real Franciscan robe that should be not dyed at all. It should be the color of real wool. And it was smelling and stinking wool. If you don't go through those details, your audience would not know why it doesn't look right, but they will feel it. Here, this is the labyrinth. This is inside the tower. Now, a little anecdote. Umberto Eco had described this labyrinth, and it appeared to me like having about 100 rooms, but he never talked of steps. Therefore, one day I was in Milan at his apartment. We were having dinner, and I said to him, Umberto, tell me one thing, how many rooms in the tower? Well, he said about 100. I said, this is what I gathered. And it's all on the same level. He said, yes. He said, oh my God, you're right. And I said, what you have is a pizza. It's an immense pizza, but it's not a tower. On the same movement, he runs in his library, and he comes back with 2 books, one by Escher called The Staircases, and another by Piranesi, The Prisons. Together with Umberto, we created the film adaptation of his description, which is this maze of staircases and rooms.
Are you still there?
Yes? How do we get out?
With some difficulty. If at all.
Yes, Christian and Valentina Vargas. Ah, my God, that was something. Valentina was an extraordinary sexy girl. When Christian saw her, he was with his mother, he was 15, and I said, you should have tests with 3 actresses and we'll see what is the best match, because I had chosen him and I wanted to match the girl. We did a test with Valentina. 2 hours later, his mother comes to my room and says, I have something very embarrassing to ask, and Christian is very sorry, but here is the following. She says, Christian is so madly in love with her that he thinks he just cannot even test with the others. I didn't want Christian to know exactly what was going to happen to him. Of course, it was described in the script, but I had briefed her and told her exactly what I wanted her to do to him in order to have a surprise. And she told me after that he came days after day saying, what's it going to be? What are you going to do? And she said, no, I'm sorry, this is my scene. You have the whole movie, it's your scenes, but that's my scene, and Jean-Jacques asked not to tell what's going to happen, so you'll see. Now here is my friend Ron Perlman, he's my mascot. He has so much charm, he's got